Now, I'm fully aware that there are like 5 bajillion reviews of this game up on YouTube, and I'm not going to come at it from a technical point of view where I'm going through all the special features. I'm just kind of going to go over my feelings with these games because these are games that I grew up with. And I decided to pick up the Nintendo Switch copy, mostly because I wanted the option to kind of take it on the go if I wanted to, as well as play it with my SN30 Pro that I have on the Switch. So it gives me that more of a nostalgia feel when I'm playing the Nintendo and Super Nintendo titles that are on this collection. It just kind of gives me that extra level of nostalgia. And I have to tell you, like, this collection for me is one of the greatest things I have ever seen. Like, this is my childhood. Like, I don't think people really understand like the nostalgia that is packed with this collection. I remember being like 4 years old. It had to be 4 years old because I haven't started kindergarten yet. And I remember going over to my cousin's house and playing the original TMNT game on Nintendo. The one that everybody says is just god-awful. It's not god-awful. It's just really, really difficult. And it takes a lot of strategy in order to play that game. I remember sitting there over my cousin's house in the living room on the floor just looking up and playing this game over and over. Like, my cousin didn't own it. He had to rent it back when we used to rent video games at like Blockbusters or other mom and pop rental stores. And I remember just playing this game for days and hours, and I just was so invested into this game that when I got my Nintendo a few years later, this was one of the first games that I actually was able to get my parents to pick up for me. And I just love this game. I have so much nostalgia for this game that when I picked up the Cowabunga collection, as soon as I put it in my Switch, the first game that I fired up was that game. That was the first game that I played through because I have that nostalgia for it. And it wasn't just the original TMNT game on Nintendo. I mean, there's a lot of them here. I mean, I'm talking about like the arcade game that was ported over to the NES, the Manhattan Project. I remember going to the Toys R Us store with my father, getting the little slip, because back then you had to grab the slip for the game, go up to the register, pay for it, and then they would send you to this window and they would give you the game. And I remember getting the gray box of Manhattan Project, and I remember going home and playing it, and it was a game that I never was able to complete, so I'm really looking forward to playing through that game. Because at the time, my brother was like just born. My younger brother was just born. He might have been like 1 or 2 years old at that time. He wasn't really, able to play video games. So I was sort of like on my own. I couldn't co-op through that damn game. And it was a game that I was always wanted to go back to. And I remember just having so much fun playing that game, but also not being able to beat it. And I'm so glad that that was included in this collection. Then you also have stuff like the 2 arcade games, the original TMNT Arcade, Turtles in Time Arcade, the SNES Turtles in Time, which is pretty much everybody's fan favorite. I think that's what everybody's going to probably play the most when they're getting this collection. Everybody's like, oh, Turtles in Time on the SNES, they're gonna jump on that, whereas the Nintendo games are more nostalgia to me. I did own a couple of the Game Boy games back in the day, and I just played them here and there, but I never really got into it because I was never really a handheld gamer back in the day. But to see those games included in this collection makes me happy because I'll be able to go back and play through those games again, as well as the Genesis games like Tournament Fighters and Hyperstone Heist. So there's a lot of variety in this game. Like, there's a lot of variety. 13 different TMNT titles. You can play different regions. You can play do all kinds of special enhancements. You can go in with God mode, like so many different things. And this collection has a lot of great stuff. If you're a TMNT fan, you can go into the lair, you can look at the book list, you can look at the box art, you can look at stills from the TV show. You can see all kinds of great stuff in this collection, and to me, it's just, they knocked it out of the park. They absolutely just knocked it out of the park with Shredder's Revenge coming out earlier this year, and now the Cowabunga. Like, if you are an old school Ninja Turtle fan, if you grew up in the 80s and the 90s, you are well aware of the shadow that Ninja Turtles has cast across fandom. And for us as old school Turtle fans to get all these games this year, it feels real special. It does. It feels like Shredder's Revenge scratched that itch, but Cowabunga Collection brought it home, brought it back to when I was 4 and 5 years old playing those games. I really enjoyed just going back down memory lane and experiencing all the memories that I had when I was playing through all these games. And that's what I like the most. I never have been so excited to pick up a game and a collection of games in a very, very long time. Like, I'm a pretty big gamer. Like, I'm a pretty hardcore gamer. And I like picking up all these different, like, Capcom collections, like the Capcom Fighting Collection, the Beat 'em Up Collection, you know, the Sega Genesis Collection. I like picking up these collection of games, and I love a lot of the games that are on there. But when it comes to Ninja Turtles, it's different because it hits different with it being like the first thing that I was passionate about as a kid. The first movie I ever seen in theaters was the Ninja Turtle movies. I still remember my mom taking me in New York, and it was snowing, it was raining, and she walked me and my younger sister to the theater, and the first movie I ever experienced was the Ninja Turtle movie. So I have a lot of nostalgia for the Ninja Turtle franchise, and to get a collection of these games that I grew up with, it means a lot to me. And Cowabunga collection, I think, is well worth the price tag of $40. I would actually say it's worth way more than that, but that is just this gamer and this turtle fan's opinion. I want to know what you guys think. Have you guys picked up Cowabunga collection yet? Are you planning to? What's the first game that you're going to be jumping into? Be sure to leave those comments in the comment box below. Smash that like and subscribe button. And until next time, as always, I'm Robert Storms, and that's my opinion.